delivering a load of limestone to Claypool, Indiana. I picked it up this morning in Bloomington, Indiana, which is home of the Hoosiers. Bobby Knight back in the day. Probably about a third of the way through, trying to get this taken care of. Once I get that done, I'm going to be heading over to Perrysburg, get the trailer washed out. I need to get a DOT inspection on my tractor every 90 days for Oakley, and then I'm headed to the house. I don't think I'll make it home this evening. It'll be first thing tomorrow morning because I don't get hours back till after midnight. This video is going to be a money video. I'm going to break down all of my numbers, fuel cost, mileage, things of that nature. How many miles I've driven, how many miles I drove in end-dump, how many miles I drove in pneumatics so far. I'm going to give you my total revenue plus my total net revenue for end-dump. I'm going to give you my total revenue for pneumatics, total net revenue for pneumatics. I'm going to give you my fuel cost because I can calculate that. So it'll be almost exactly 10 months that I've been here, so I'll be able to break that down. So that's going to be coming up. So next up is the whiteboard. Stay tuned. Catch you later.
Hello everybody, Jimmy's Road Life coming at you from the house again today. Got the whiteboard up here. I had mentioned that I was going to do a numbers video probably within the next few weeks of my last video, so here it goes. I sat down this morning and I did some totals. It didn't take too long, maybe about 10-15 minutes, because I keep everything organized in a spreadsheet. And I have my notebooks with my mileages, and all I had to do was go back to the dates and extract the numbers to kind of come up with some totals. So what I'm going to go over today are my overall miles and revenue in the 10 months that I've been at Oakley. I started on the 22nd of August. And this goes through the 22nd-ish of June. So I still have July and August to go to hit that year point. Excuse me. So I'll probably do another one here late August and actually show a full 1 year total. But this one was kind of cool because I was able to break down the first 4 months, 4.5 months that I was in end dump, and the last 5 to 5.5 months that I've been in pneumatics. One thing to keep in mind with these totals, and I may mention this here a little bit later in the video, when I was in end dump, I didn't have any problems with my truck. I was very fortunate. The first 4 to 4.5 months, I ran hard. Kyle kept me very busy. I didn't have any real breakdowns, and I just took my normal weeks off. If you remember, I was home the first week of the month, and I would stay out the second, third, and fourth week of the month. If there were 5 weeks, I think it was October, I would stay out for 4 to 4.5 weeks before I came home, and then I was off for 5 or 6 days over Thanksgiving, and then I was off again for a week to 10 days over Christmas, and came out right after New Year's. So in end dump, August 22nd, went into orientation for 3 or 4 days, came out of orientation that week, and ran all the way up through Christmas to the first part of January. I switched over to pneumatics on January 9th. And at that point, started running into some truck problems. I had issues with my steering. I had issues with some harnesses, issues with sensors. It's trucks. It is what it is. It was the middle of winter, so we were getting those winter issues with electronics. At least I was. So I was down January, February, and March for probably a period of about a month, if I had to add it all up, and maybe a little bit over a month. So I know specifically in March I was off for at least 10 to 14 days because of a maintenance issue, and that took a little bit to get back up and going. I had 3 days here, 3 days there, 4 days here, trying to get some things squared away. So just keep that in mind as we go through this, that I had probably a month off for maintenance and then my normal time off. So the irony is I had 4 to 4.5 months of straight running in end dump. From August 22nd to January 9th, was off a little bit for the holidays, as I had stated. And then I came over January 9th till now, the end of June, in pneumatics, which is what, February, March, April, May, June, 5 months. Okay, is that right? January, February, March, the 6 months, whatever. 5 months, 6 months. But it's actually about 5 months. So I probably had maybe technically another half a month to a month in pneumatics that I had in end dump. So got to kind of give a guide to some numbers. I want to give that timeline so you can see that as of right now, my end dump time and my pneumatics time are fairly close. They're fairly even. So let's go forward and put up some numbers, okay? And kind of get a little bit of a running total here. I'm going to go ahead and start with some miles. When I was in end dump, my actual miles off of my odometer from start to finish, my mileage in end dump, okay, was 51,124 miles. Those are actual miles. That's off my odometer from the time that I got to Little Rock to the time when I first started in orientation to when I went back to Little Rock, the date that I got there to switch over and put my blower on. So 51,124 actual miles. Now we're going to go to paid miles. Loaded miles, I had 32,465 loaded miles, and I had 15,081 empty miles or deadhead. We get paid for both at Oakley. So if you add these up, you're looking at 6, 15, 5, 7, 47, 556. And you'll notice there's a difference there of roughly what, $3,500 or $4,500 or dollars, miles, whatever that is. It comes out to about a 10% variance when you're working with book miles versus actual. There's generally a 10% difference between the two. So these are my actual driven miles, and this also includes deadhead home and things of that nature when I would come home and take some time off. And these are my actual paid miles. So actual and then paid. So just to kind of give you guys an understanding, okay? In end dump, I had 29% deadhead, all right, to 71% loaded. Okay, that's what this comes out to roughly. So some guys ask, what's your ratio of loaded to empty miles? I've always said it's roughly 70-30, and that's pretty consistent. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead up here and I'm going to write this down, this actual miles right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put ED for end dump. No, I'm not talking about any kind of little blue pill. And I'm going to write down 51,124. Okay, so go ahead and put that mileage up there, and that way it's going to remain. I'm going to go ahead and erase this, because now I'm going to put up my pneumatics numbers. In pneumatics, again, I came over on January 9th, as I just said, and these numbers go through my last paid load just a couple days ago in pneumatics. So in tanks at Oakley, I've traveled 55,377 actual miles since I've gone into tanks. Again, the timeline is pretty much the same, maybe just a couple of weeks more in pneumatics than in end dump, but I also had more downtime for maintenance since I've been in the division. So it's pretty comparable. My loaded miles in pneumatics, actual paid loaded miles, have been 33,987. And my deadhead or empty miles in pneumatics has been 15,145. And these, again, are my paid miles. So the difference here, as you can see, is 7 and 5 is 12. 13, 11, 9, 49,132. So a difference of roughly, what, 6,000 miles. So again, it's close to 10% between empty and loaded. So I'd say that's probably about 11%, but I'm not going to get my phone and do it, but it's close. So again, you're always going to have a variance between book miles, paid miles, and actual miles driven, because paid miles go from city center to city center, and they go on a prescribed route according to the computer, and actual miles are what you literally put on the truck to navigate to different spots, point to point, and things of that nature. So it's fairly close. And the percentage that I came up with here for deadhead was 27% deadhead, okay, to 73% loaded. So again, it's close enough to a 70-30 split that both divisions are roughly 70% loaded to 30% empty. And some people would say, well, why does that matter? Well, your pay, your bonus. At Oakley, your bonus is paid off of your loaded miles, not your empty miles. So, of course, you would want more loaded miles. But in pneumatics, last I knew, it was $2.58 a loaded mile compared to $2.08 for empty miles. So as you can see, there's a 50-cent difference in your mileage pay, loaded versus empty. By the same token, though, I get like 8+ miles to the gallon when I'm running empty, and I'm averaging, I'll show you here, in the 6s when I'm loaded. So I'm saving money on fuel when I'm running empty, and it's a lot easier on my truck compared to loaded, but nonetheless, you certainly want to remain loaded as much as you possibly can. So you're looking at 258 to 208, and it's still roughly a 70-30 split between the two. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up here, and I'm going to put PN for pneumatics, and as you can see, it's 55,377 total miles in tanks. So very close. So for those guys that want to compare mileage numbers, actually did a little bit better in tanks, but it's actually even, I would have to say. Again, the end of August to the beginning of January, and then I've had from the beginning of January to mid to 2/3 of the way through June, but with about a month of downtime in there. So it's close. But either way, as you can see, 51,124 miles in end dump and 55,377 miles in pneumatics. Now we're going to get to some numbers here, okay? And we're going to total up some revenue totals. In end dumps, I grossed, and these numbers are right off my settlement, so these are accurate, $126,891, and that was gross in end dump in the time that I was there. I netted $83,538 gross net in end dump. This is where I was at, okay? This gives me an average on my mileage of what I came up with of $1.63 per mile net. That's what I was making when I was in end dump. One thing to keep in mind, in this number, I had $175 a week coming out for escrow and wet kit costs, okay, to operate the end dump. That number would have been higher if these two were paid off. Whatever 175 times 4.3 would be, added to that total divided by the number, is probably about 6, maybe 7 cents per mile. So it was between $1.63 though is where I was at on end dump. In pneumatics, my gross so far, and this is as of my last paid trip, has been $148,000. Excuse me, $148,323. My net in pneumatics is $105,110. So since I've came into pneumatics, 148.3 gross to 105.1 net, which gave me a total on my mileage of $1.90 per mile net for my miles that I've driven. So as you can see in pneumatics, clearly you're going to do better from a revenue standpoint than you are in end dump. Okay, but there's something that comes into play in pneumatics. You have $8,500 roughly. Actually, it's more than that. The blower is $10K for your blower. You put $2,500 down with all the other costs. It comes up to about $8,000 to $8,500 that's coming out of your settlement at $200 per week. Okay, I've paid off my blower and my escrow, so I have already built up my $5,000 escrow account. I know my writing's terrible. And I have already paid off my $10,000 blow. Okay, and those came out of these numbers, and obviously these numbers up here included those deductions. I'd be curious to see over the next 6 months to a year, now that these are all taken care of, these extended cost items, to see how it kind of fares. I would venture that I'm going to be up around $2 a mile for all miles once it's said and done. But right now, this is where I'm at in pneumatics. Okay, so again, to recap, in end dump, I grossed $126,891, and I netted $83,538 for a per mile net of $1.63 on all miles. That number should come out right. If you guys want to do the math, correct me if I'm wrong, but it should be right. In pneumatics, I've grossed $148,323. I've netted $105,110 for an average per mile net of $1.90 on all miles that I've driven in pneumatics. So that's where I'm at in pneumatics. My yearly total, if you want to put these together, my overall gross since I've been at Oakley in 10 months has been $275,214 with an overall net, real simple, add these numbers up, of $188,648. And this is through, I'll just go ahead and put this over here, 10 months with Bruce Oakley between the end dump and pneumatic division. So obviously I've done very well. I have 2 months to go. I'm averaging 18 to 20,000 per month net. So if you say I have 2 more months to go, so I still have July and August. So if you want to add, say, I don't know, 20,000 to this, you're looking at about a $208,000 total, roughly, in net revenue is what we're looking at. Okay, roughly $208,000 in net revenue. Let me handle this real quick, or that's just going to keep ringing. Telemarketers all day long. All day long. So that's about where I would be. But something else to keep in mind. I had up here previously the other costs that were associated with this stuff. Between the blower that I purchased my wet kit costs that I incurred when I was in end dump, and my escrow, that all came up to roughly $17,000, which is net revenue. So you have to put this into perspective. I'm going to be at roughly $208,000 net at my 1 year point. If you add that $17,000 into that, okay, what is 17 plus 8? You're going to be looking, it should be over the next year, I should be at roughly 200, and what's that going to be, $25,000 in net revenue if everything kind of goes as is at Oakley in pneumatics. Now, looking at this mileage right here, okay, I am, where am I at here? 106,501 total miles. I'm going to go ahead and clear this off, okay? So you're looking at 106,501 total miles, which I've had written down here, 106,501. Okay, divided by 10, that's 10,650 miles per month, okay? So if I had 10,600 on average miles per month times 12, that's going to put me at roughly 127,000 miles a year. We'll just go with the number. And I was averaging $1.90 a mile, but that's with that 17,000 coming out. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it at $1.90 times 1.9. That's going to be 241,000, all things being equal, okay, dollars next year that I should net in Oakley in pneumatics when everything's all said and done, okay? So I'll be curious when I do a video next year to see how this averages out, because I'm certainly going to do a year end for me, which will be the end of August. So coming up here in a couple of months, you're going to get another one of these videos. But that should be close to my average next year, is 241,680 over the next year. So we'll see how it turns out. But something else that I calculated, because a lot of guys would ask about fuel, okay? I actually figured out my fuel between the two divisions, because I was curious about that. You know, I thought, boy, if I'm running the blower a lot, is it going to make that much of a fuel difference between what I had in end dump? Because I didn't know. And some people have said, well, yeah, but what's your fuel cost? You got to operate that blower for 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes when you're trying to get a load off the trailer. And I was concerned about that as well. So I was actually kind of surprised. I'm going to show you guys. And my numbers are dead on. Okay, my spreadsheet is completely current. I took these off of each month, both the amount of money that I spent on fuel and the number of gallons. So when I was in end dump, I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. Fuel cost and MPG, all right, miles per gallon. So when I was in end dumps, I spent $42,058 in fuel. Wow, that's a lot of money. And I pumped 7,522 gallons. Since I've been in pneumatics, and again, this is current to my last trip that I was paid, I have spent, ironically enough, less money in fuel. Prices have dropped a little bit, which is good. But that also means our fuel surcharge drops as the fuel prices drop. But you guys can hear my birds in the background. We have parakeets, they're cool. I have pumped 8,005 gallons of diesel since I've been in pneumatics, okay? If you take my mileage between end dump and the amount of gallons that I had, I was getting 6.80 miles per gallon in end dump. That's where I was at. Okay? 7,522 gallons at 51,124 miles. 6.8. Do the math. Should come out right. That's where I was at. Here's the surprise, because I thought it was going to be different, so I was pleasantly surprised. Since I've been in pneumatics, you do the math already for me, I'm at 6.92 miles per gallon in pneumatics. I'm actually getting 0.1, a tenth of a mile per gallon better in pneumatics than I have been in end dump. Don't know why. My driving habits are still the same. I run the same speeds. The load weights are still the same, 46, 47, 48,000 pounds. I'm actually idling the truck more to get the loads off. I don't understand it. Maybe the pneumatic is a little bit more aerodynamically efficient than the end dump. I don't know. I mean, the end dump is kind of a box, the pneumatics, but there's a lot of exterior items on that pneumatic that create drag. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I don't understand what this difference is, but nonetheless, 6.92 compared to 6.8 miles per gallon. And if you guys are thinking about coming to Oakley, here'd be a good chance for me to plug this in. Hit me up, Jimmy's Road Life, LYFE @gmail.com. I'll be happy to help you in any way that I can. Again, I would ask that if you're thinking about coming to Oakley, you contact me first. If you contact Oakley first, I don't get credit for that referral. I just really appreciate it if you could get in touch with me and let me get Oakley your name and phone number, and then they'll reach out to you. And that's how that works for us to receive any kind of a referral bonus. So there's my plug for that. Moving on. I was curious about my fuel cost when I was coming to Oakley. How much it was actually going to cost me. So for you people, you men, women that maybe say, how much is it going to cost me? First time owner, operator, or whatever. These are some good numbers. This is 10 months. This is exactly 10 months that you can go by. These are my miles in 10 months. This is my fuel cost in 10 months. So you have revenue and your fuel cost. You can calculate your own truck payment and all that off to the side, okay, and come up with that. I just gave you the totals for the wet kit, the blower, your escrow. If you're going to go into end dump, it's about $3,500-ish, $3,500 to $4,000 for the wet kit, $5,000 for escrow. That's for everybody, no matter the division. If you're going to come into pneumatics and you have previous pneumatics experience and they allow you to do that and you don't have a blower, it's going to be about 10 grand. So you're going to have that cost coming out of your settlement. I just went over that. All right. So again, I'm looking at roughly 6.86 overall miles per gallon since I have been at Oakley during that 10 months. And I'm actually very pleased with that. Okay. Because when I bought my truck, I was anticipating an MPG of 7 miles per gallon. And I'm close. I'm at 6.86. As time goes forward, maybe I'll get that 7. I don't know. But either way, I'm at 6.92 off of the total number of gallons that I've pumped compared to my total number of miles. So I'm grateful for that. Okay? So those are some numbers totals that I had for you guys. Just a quick update. Okay? And thought I'd sit down and do this video for you. A lot of people like to ask. So again, to recap, okay, the difference in fuel between the two divisions, really not that great. I was at 6.8 miles per gallon in end dump. I'm actually a little better, 6.9 in pneumatics. I don't so much look at the cost so much because fuel prices vary and fluctuate. I'm actually looking at the total number of gallons. And as you can see, it's a difference of 500 gallons between the two. So about a couple of fill-ups, 2-3 fill-ups. But I'm also 4,000 miles further, which would account for that. So it's fairly even between the divisions with my truck. And if you guys are wondering what truck I have, you just go back to some of my other videos. I have a 2017 Kenworth T680 with the PACCAR MX-13 with a straight 10-speed. Bought it off Aero Truck Sales. Just a basic fleet truck. And it runs great. I love it. It's a good truck. It's been good. I had some issues, but what truck doesn't? So it is what it is. But anyway, I'm just going to recap for you folks. Okay, just a quick recap. All right. Overall, I grossed $126,891 in end dump with a net of $83,538. Okay, that was an end up. And since I've been in pneumatics, I have grossed $148,323, and I have netted $105,110. So there's my totals. Okay, and this again is over a 10-month period since I've started at Oakley. I started on August 22nd of last year in orientation. So this basically goes, we might as well say, from September through the third week of June, because that's when I basically cut the payoff for this. And that would be my total. So basically 10 months is where I'm at with this. Okay, and 5 in end dump, a little over 5, I guess you could say, in pneumatics. So here's a good judge for you folks to use if you're thinking about coming over and you want to know how you can do it Oakley. And again, for my fuel, okay, 7,522 gallons in end dump and 8,005 gallons in pneumatics. There's the totals for mileage right there, if you want to do the math on that. And my total fuel cost, I can actually put this down here, was $76,350 for that 10-month period. Okay, that was my total fuel cost. And I'm getting an average MPG across everything for all miles of 6.86 MPG with the truck that I have. So there's some brief totals for you guys, kind of give you an update, give you a little numbers video and show you where I've been. So hopefully this helps. Okay, if any of you are interested, again, hit me up. Be happy to help you. Jimmy's Road Life, again, lyfe@gmail.com. And the numbers don't lie. These are directly off my spreadsheets and directly off of my settlements. So as you can see, you can do very well at Oakley. You might be doing better at the company that you're at if you're watching this, and that's outstanding. I'm glad to hear that, okay, because I think we do very well at Oakley. If you're not doing this good and you want to do this good, it is definitely possible. I'm not out there burning it up. I'm not killing myself. I stay steady. I will say this, okay? I don't waste any time on my log. When my 10-hour breaks are up, I'm up and running. When I get loaded, I'm down the road. Okay, I'm getting to the customer as quickly, efficiently, and safely as I possibly can. I'm trying to get the load off the trailer as quickly, efficiently, and safely as I possibly can. I'm getting to the next load as quickly, efficiently, and safely as I possibly can. I'm not wasting any time. Okay? Your numbers might vary a little bit if you like to run a little more relaxed. They could actually be better if you run harder than me. Depends on you, your dispatcher, and everything else. The only thing I could say is stay legal, stay safe. Okay? Because just a good thing to do. All right? But clearly, you can do very well at Oakley if you're not doing this well at the carrier that you're at. So something to consider. Oakley's not for everybody, as I've said before. But it is a very good company, and you can do very well. So I hope this helps you guys, okay? There you have it. All right, remember, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Be nice to everyone because everyone is going through something you know nothing about, okay? And let's just be kind and decent human beings and make the world a better place. All right, we'll catch you guys later. Peace out. God bless. All right, bye-bye.